MAT1033 Final Exam Review Question 51. We are to perform the indicated operation and simplify the expression as much as possible. We've got x divided by x squared plus 3x plus 2 plus 1 over x plus 1. An expression, we cannot clear the fractions. We must keep the fractions. Matter of fact, we've got to get a common denominator. In order to do that, we find the least common multiple of the denominators, and we need to then factor each one of the denominators. Keep each factor the highest number of times it appears in any one factored form. So factoring the first denominator, I end up with x plus 2x plus 1. You can multiply that to verify that's the factored form. X plus 1 here won't factor, so we'll keep it together. Our least common denominator then would be x plus 2 times x plus 1. Now we would take each one of these original fractions and build it up so that it has this new denominator, x plus 2, x plus 1. If you notice, the first fraction already has the denominator we want it to have, so we would simply keep x in the numerator position plus the second fraction is has a denominator of x plus 1, and we want it to have this new denominator, so we are going to have to multiply the second fraction, top and bottom, by the x plus 2. Okay, distributing the 1, we end up with 1x plus 2, and that's adding, so we would have plus 1x plus 2. Keep the denominator we found for the LCD, least common denominator, and then combine the numerators. These are like terms, so this would give us 2x plus 2. That's in the numerator's position. And we've successfully added the two fractions together. Now, we have to decide, is it reduced? And the only way to determine that would be to try and factor the numerator. And if you notice, 2 is the greatest common factor of those two terms. And once it is a product, which it is now, then I can cancel this common factor, and I end up with the simplest form of the original expression. The sum of that would be 2 over x plus 2. MAT1033 Final Exam Review Question 52. We have a subtraction problem. Perform the indicated operation and simplify the expression as much as possible, or the directions. We've got 5 over x minus 1 minus 1 over x plus 3. We need a common denominator. We can't clear the fractions. This is an expression, not an equation. So we've got to find the LCD and keep them. Okay, keep the fraction denominator. And you'll notice that neither one of the denominators factors, so we keep those two denominators as the LCD, least common denominator. And then we are going to multiply each one of the fractions by the missing factor. And then for the second fraction, it's going to be x minus 1 that we need. Okay. Now oops, lost my parenthesis there. Okay. Now distributing the 5, we end up with 5x plus 15. That's the first fraction's numerator. And for the second fraction, we must be careful because this is subtracting 1. So we're really distributing a negative 1. So it would be minus 1x, and then minus 1 times negative 1 would be plus 1. That's where you're going to make a sign error if you're not careful. So here we've got minus 1x plus 1. Combining like terms in the numerator, we have 4x plus 16. So here we have 4x plus 16 over x minus 1 times x plus 3. And we have to try to reduce. If we factor the numerator, we end up with 4 times x plus 4. But if you notice, there's no common factors top and bottom. So we could either leave it in the factored form, Or we could simply write the 4x plus 16 over x minus 1 times x plus 3. Most of the time we wouldn't want to leave it any factored forms, but it's appropriate for this particular problem because we just wanted to show up here that it wouldn't reduce.